Libertarian Party presidential candidate Gary Johnson spoke to supporters in Seattle today. This rally at the downtown Sheraton in Seattle is his first time here. Gary Johnson spoke in support of Black Lives Matter and against American involvement in regime change abroad. But the first thing he talked about was what he calls drug incarceration.
There are tens of millions of Americans who are convicted felons that, but for our drug laws, would otherwise be tax-paying, law-abiding citizens. Let's bring an end to the war on drugs.
As to foreign policy, Johnson says we should take attacks when we are attacked, as we did in Afghanistan, but not in the case of Iraq. He also told the Seattle crowd he has reversed his stance on the death penalty, opting against it, and he pledged to be, quote, the most frugal president ever elected.
The Libertarian candidate for President Gary Johnson stumped in Seattle. His trip here comes a day after he learned he did not make it into the first presidential debate. As King 5's political reporter Natalie Brand reports, he promises to keep fighting.
This is the craziest election ever, and it's crazy because I think I am going to be the next president of the United States.
Gary Johnson fired up his Seattle supporters, a mostly male crowd of loud libertarians who cheered on a message of fiscal conservatism.
I mean, this whole system is headed to bankruptcy.
And social liberalism.
Washington State, you rock. You legalized marijuana. Yes.
The former New Mexico governor shared the stage with his running mate, former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld, donning a Seahawks jersey. Both former Republicans fed up with the major parties.
The two parties seem to exist with one main purpose, which is to kill each other.
This is a whole libertarian movement that's coming alive right now.
While the 2016 Libertarian ticket has drawn the support of celebrities Drew Carey and Nirvana's Chris Novoselic, Johnson hasn't yet hit the 15% polling threshold required to make it into the first presidential debate.
It is a rigged game.
Johnson says his campaign hinges on getting into the later debates in October.
Maybe we raise the volume on the fact that Ross Perot was polling lower than we are polling right now, and he was the last presidential candidate on stage.
In a one-on-one interview, I also asked Johnson about his Aleppo gaffe.
I should have known that. I certainly am very cognizant of the policy that exists in Syria currently that really is a mess.
I think the military should not be used to realize someone's vision of the world.
Supporters at this rally included military veterans, millennials, disaffected Republicans.
Was pro Ted Cruz, and I don't like Donald Trump.
And voters looking for an alternative during an unusual election year.
I can't vote for someone that I don't want to win. I'm going to vote for someone that I want to win.
Well, Gary Johnson continues to try and get on the presidential debate stage, and he is hoping that the people in Seattle can help him. Libertarian nominee for president held a rally in Seattle this afternoon, and hundreds attended. Johnson needs to be polling at 15% to get on the debate stage. Right now, he's at about 8%. Earlier today, we sat down with Johnson, who didn't mince words about his frustration.
It's a rigged game. It really is. When 50% of Americans right now that are going to register to vote are registering as independent, where is that representation? I happen to think it's Bill Weld and I.
Introducing Johnson today was Drew Carey, the host of The Price is Right and co-owner of the Sounders, as well as Chris Novoselic, the bassist for Nirvana. Johnson's vice presidential pick, Bill Weld, showed up wearing a Seahawks jersey.